said, hey, you approach me. I've been thinking about you and you only. And we just like to fuck, that's nothing else. You know, I'm falling in love, that's for someone else.
What's good, y'all? So this is a video by Hip Hop Mad. Fantastic. Who the fuck is this by? Hold on. Hold on. Okay, I found it. So anyways, it's the Fantastic Hip Hop Channels.
Kendrick Lamar just released his third song in a
Bitch. Hip Hop Channels, how Drake just embarrassed himself. Okay. I'm pretty sure this is probably going to touch on his last diss record and how that shit was ass. Which is what it is. And how it was so all over the place. And I kind of talked about this in the other video I'm dropping today about the shooting at his house. It was just all over the place, very contradictory. He got stuff like completely wrong, and it was not like it's stuff you can prove. And so it just made him look crazy. You know what I'm saying? It just made him look kind of like not right in the head. And just like he just said some weird shit, and I think this is it. I think it's it. You feel me? So we just gonna see what he has to say though.
Being the absolute laughing stock of the rap world for a few days, Drake responded back to Kendrick Lamar's absolute behemoth of a diss.
I'll say though, him naming it the Heart Part 6, that was a chess move. That was a chess move. That fucked Kendrick's whole shit up. That shit's crazy. That he has been doing that shit since he first got into the game. Now he got to stop. And it being the sixth one, and he could say bruh. Now he did that with that one. I ain't gonna lie. Nah, that's tough. He can't, and Kendrick can't go Heart Part 7 because now you gonna act. It's like acting like that song is considered part of the shit. You can't do it. It's over with.
In Meet the Grams and the banger of Not Like Us with a new cut titled The Heart Part 6, and well, from the title alone, as Kendrick took over Drake's AM/PM series, Drake coming back and taking over his Heart series was genius.
Good move.
When you look at the entirety of this song, this is about as good as it gets as when you sit down and digest what Drake had to say here. It's clear that for the first time in this beef, one of these titans just absolutely missed the mark. So when it comes to the Heart Part 6, it's not even really a diss track at all, and more of a defense track, as after Kendrick made allegations that Drake was hiding a daughter on Meet the Grams and that him and OVO are joining the ranks of people like Dan Schneider and Diddy. People have been running around clowning Drake as they have recited the insane quotables that Kendrick dropped on his last few tracks, and in an effort to make this attack stop, Drake has come with a response where he tries to clear his name of all of these pretty serious allegations and throw everything right back on Kendrick. And while the menacing beat that samples Aretha Franklin and the straight rapping from Drake would make you think that he's about to do just that, when you listen to his lyrical performance here, all he ended up doing is just making himself look way worse than he ever has. Now, the first set of bars on this track are all pretty fine and definitely set up some solid groundwork for Drake.
And you can see that in my reaction where initially I'm like, oh shit, fuck. It was up until he said, mother, oh. And I was like, oh shit. And then he said, that's the one song where you got molested. I was like,
for Drake to do damage, but when he tries to drop his first massive reveal here, he says that him and his team set Kendrick up, and they tricked him into believing that he had an 11-year-old daughter that he was hiding just to make Lamar look like an absolute fool in this supposed gotcha moment. And while if this was true, this would completely alter everything. When we look at the evidence and everything we know so far, this makes absolutely zero sense, and let me tell you why. First off, Drake's saying that Kendrick is getting his stories from clowns, and then contradicting himself by saying that he and his team gave him the story just makes no sense already. But beyond these lines just conflicting with one another, Drake's knee-jerk reaction to Kendrick saying that he had a daughter was to post an Instagram story laughing about it, and if it were the truth that Kendrick was set up,
he would have been like, fuck all this hype. I'm not even gonna let y'all get hype over this shit because I said it. Even though that would still tie into the master manipulator part, habitual liar part. But like, that's what he would have done because he is an internet girly.
If Drake was the true mastermind that he said he is, he would either have the receipts to show that they got Kendrick, or he would have had a song ready to explain this entire thing off the bat. But he doesn't, and after Drake fans on social media were running with this theory in a way to seemingly cope with Meet the Grams, in all honesty, it seems like Drake just ripped this from what everyone else was saying, because with no evidence at all, and the fact that Drake did not have—
And it didn't come up until his fans said the shit. It didn't come up. He didn't think of this shit, bruh. He saw y'all think of it, and he was like, "Ooh, good angle."
Have this response right in the chamber. When you do a little thinking and wonder why Drake would let all of this bad press run around his name for days, I think anyone can spot out that this is a bold-faced lie, and beyond this. He says that the items that were stolen off him that Kendrick posted were also a part of this elaborate setup, and that they were a part of some massive joke, and this just makes things seem even more ridiculous. Drake harps on the fact that there was this joke and this setup, yet does not explain what any of it meant or what it was, so overall, while Drake is trying to sell us the idea that this was his grand plan all along. After the guy made an entire short film for his Family Matters music video and didn't decide to document any of these parts that would have seemingly supported any of this.
Or, like, if he was so, like, if it was such a plan, wouldn't you have dropped that shit in Family Matters? To kind of shut his whole shit up? Now he can't even post a song? Or, like I said, doing it directly after. He dropped that shit an hour after your shit. You could have dropped your shit an hour after his shit. I don't know. But instead, you let him drop that, let that sit and drop another song that's doubling down. And then the next day, now you're like, actually? Like, come on, bro.
Shows that either Drake is incredibly unintelligent, or that he is just the biggest liar
slow
out right now. And you know what? Maybe Drake is just a fool, because as this track goes on, he tries to have another massive gotcha moment on Kendrick as he addresses the major allegations about being really creepy around girls as he ropes Kendrick's Mr. Morale track, Mother I Sober, into the mix and tries to weaponize Kendrick's pain by saying that the reason Lamar is running around with these allegations is because he himself was a victim of the same thing when he was a child, which already. Trying to utilize somebody for going through something so traumatic is a genuinely strange and horrible thing to do, but beyond even
and
this...
because it's so sad that it's very common for that thing to happen that he was trying to make fun of, you're going to trigger a lot of people. Even if it's not the molestation part, you're going to trigger people with, I was, you think R-worded. So I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what did you, that won't, whatever flex or shit he thought it was, that shit won't it.
The song Mother I Sober is not about Kendrick being a victim, but
No,
it's actually about Lamar's own
mother.
mother, whose pain and experience made her think that the same horror she went through, her son also did. So when you understand this as well, it makes Drake's claims about Kendrick not checking facts and fully understanding
I wonder
things
what 21 is saying. What he said?
feel even more happy.
Yachty, what you
because
saying?
when you boil it down, everything Drake has said so far on this track is either so far-fetched without any evidence, or he's just completely wrong about what's supposed to be the framework that supports this very track, and somehow making things even worse than all this. The other main thing Drake does to address the really bad allegations about him and girls is to say that he predicted that this was the angle Kendrick was going to take, which first off, is that supposed to be some sort of flex that the image you've put out over the years would let somebody even come at you for this and continuing to just plummet from here? In defense of himself, Drake says that he is too famous to be the things that Kendrick has suggested, which again, there's just been so many times in this beef where Drake is saying things that don't make any sense or line up with anything else that happens in the reality the rest of us live in, because as we have seen over the years, especially recently, a lot of the most famous and rich people in the world have been exposed of the thing that you are defending yourself from, so to try to shut this down this way, it's actually laughable because of how it just disregards any form of logic, and if you didn't think this defense could get any worse, it again somehow does, as Drake tries to taunt Kendrick and protect himself by saying that he is only messing with girls like his wife, Whitney, and not Millie Bobby Brown and wait. Kendrick never said anything about Millie Bobby Brown, so once again, Drake is really just destroying himself here at this point. It is
because he was not dissing Kendrick, he was trying to diss the Twitter comments. He saw y'all talking about Millie Bobby Brown, so he was like, oh, well, I have to put it in here and make it witty, but it wasn't. It was weird. It was weird.
Truly at that level. Now, Drake also puts out again...
And he was with the biggest cheater? Did I see Tristan Thompson? Who the fuck was
same
that?
accusations that he did on Family Matters, which is a good tactic to make Kendrick address them directly, but with so many more straight out awful lines like the B sharp bar that is trying to clap back at Kendrick's A minor line and just misses the point entirely. All in all, it just makes this track harder and harder to listen to, and as towards the end, it pretty much looks like Drake is fully treading back on Kendrick and waving the white flag by saying that he is done with this. While Drake may be trying to gaslight people into saying that he had a genuine plan, humiliated Kendrick, defended his honor, and now is above all.
And them dumbasses is believing that shit. The thing is, this is what I'm gonna say. Don't argue with them mofos. You can't argue with dumb. You feel me? You can't argue with stupidity. Which is probably why it would probably be the best decision for Kendrick not to say shit. But I want him to, because I want you to, like, not like that. Because they'll block me. Fuck! I gotta edit that shit out. To like, end him. You feel? Nailing the coffin shit. Nailing the coffin proof so nobody can discredit your shit, bro. Like, oh God.
In actuality, when you read this track and all of its core ideas for what they are, it really just seems like Drake put out a PR song that is trying to mitigate the damage that Kendrick has created around his name and overall.
Well, all I'm gonna say is he dissed himself worse than Kendrick did. That song did worse to himself than Kendrick actually dissing him. I'm gonna be real. That he
Even if the hip-hop community and a lot of other people will now see Drake in a different way forever, at least his own fans will still believe that Drake has played everything in this beef right, and that
was my first tattoo. I got it when I was 16 years old.
That he is walking out unscathed.
It's my mom. I know y'all don't give a fuck, but y'all let's go listen to this shit. The fuck? It's my mama's initials and my brother's initials with their birthdays. And everybody thought I was like evil or violent because I got a tattoo at 16. I don't know what the fuck that shit was about.
Overall, despite the Hard Part 6 being a good sounding song aesthetically, when you break down this attack plan and pretty much see how this is a glorified PR statement that the internet wrote to defend Drake, I don't even know how somebody who showed that he was so battle ready in the beginning of this beef thought that this was a good idea to release. This track was clearly so rushed, and from the inconsistent writing to the things Drake is saying, you can see that his demeanor really flipped and that whether he admits it or not, he completely compromised and caved in on his strategy and threw out his bravado as Kendrick has proven to be more and more of a force that he can't handle. So at this point, we are just left to see how Kendrick Lamar will respond to this track and ultimately witness how he will end this feud once and for all.
I honestly don't. Like I said, with this shooting shit, and obviously, like, I think more, and it'll probably hit the internet later throughout the day, is they're saying seems to be something between The Weeknd and Drake and OVO, EXO and everything, but the way that it's painted right now is some people are trying to connect it to Kendrick. It's just very interesting timing. It is just very convenient for this man. And that's just weird to me, but whatever. Maybe somebody did slide for whoever. They didn't slide for Kendrick. I don't believe that shit. I'm just genuine. I feel like it's somebody who had an issue with the weirdo and wanted to do what they wanted to do, but they trying to paint it a certain way. So I think it's gonna be quiet for a couple days. Let this shit kind of die down. Let him address it in the line without it being like without it making Kendrick look guilty or like he had any parts. Because I don't know, did they say it was a news report where I think they said that Drake is willing to work with the authorities or something like that, and I'm just like, maybe, what if Kendrick predicted all this shit and was like, that's what the snitching shit was? Oh, God. Jesus Christ. Anyways, I don't know what's going on. Shit looks stupid, sounds stupid. I don't know. Whatever. Anyways, y'all like, comment, subscribe. He lost. He lost. I don't care. If y'all are Drake fans and you want to cope, do what you got to do to get through the day. But it's almost unanimous, bro. This shit has reached global. And it's a lot of the same thing that I'm hearing from country to country. Countries, bruh. Drake lost. Take it. It's okay. Fuck. Jay-Z and Nas beefed too. And one of them, I ain't listened to the track, so I don't know. But they still had blossoming careers after that. You can just admit what you feel me? Don't cope. You don't gotta cope. It's cool. It's cool. Anyways, y'all like, comment, subscribe, follow me Instagram, follow me on TikTok. I'll see y'all in the next one.